Earlier today, Albert Breer released on the Monday Morning Quarterback an article where he had a chance to talk with Ryan Poles. And the headline of the article, the Bears GM never told Justin Fields he's their quarterback, but his decision March 10th did. It's about how Poles didn't have to go out and tell Justin Fields and his agent that he's the guy, but his actions and the way the Bears approach this offseason have basically told Justin Fields he's the guy. Something that we've been preaching to people for the last couple of years. Give this guy some talent around him, allow him to develop, and eventually you'll know that Justin Fields is the real deal. And I'm happy that this is the path that the Bears are going down.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, I said it all along that my philosophy would be to go to Justin Fields in that exit interview and be like, hey, man, look, here's what's going to happen. You're the guy, right? Like, you're going to hear some things that might suggest that you're not the guy, but just remember, we're trying to create value for this number one pick. If everyone thinks that we're not going to take a quarterback, then we're not going to get any value for it. And my idea is to trade once, twice back and get more assets, get you a wide receiver, maybe from another team, maybe in the draft. But our plan is for this year to build around you and to have you go out there, become a better passer, give you better weapons, build the offensive line, and see what you can do next year. And that's where I kind of would have left it, right? And you just say for next year. Now, they've set themselves up perfectly where they've given him a number one wide receiver. They've added some rotational pieces on the offensive line, and maybe they'll do something in the draft at 9 or maybe later to add more to that offensive line. But the point is that there should be a very distinctive improvement from Justin Fields this season. And if there isn't, they got 2 first-round picks to mess around with, and they could always trade up if they need to. But as of this year, I like that Poles went in there and said, hey, man, I'm not going to tell you exactly what we're going to do, but just know that the moves that we're going to make will dictate to the league that you are our guy.
Ryan Poles tells Albert Breer, he says, quote, I think my actions have said enough. And then also, why didn't the Bears commit from the start in the offseason? Why didn't they tell Justin Fields right off the bat, you're the guy for the future? Well, here, the rationale is obvious. From Ryan Poles to Albert Breer. When they started to scout the draft, they left the door open in case someone was special. Quote, if someone's special and they come in and they blow us away, in this league, that's what it's all about. They needed to be flexible to be able to move on a player if they found a quarterback at the top of the draft with that number one pick who was, quote, special. They were going to need to be flexible to be able to move away from Justin Fields to go after that player to make it work. I think this is important to note as well from Ryan Poles telling Albert Breer this is that basically Poles just told the entire league that there is not a special quarterback in the mix in this year's NFL draft. If you have a GM who had the number one pick, who does have some questionable questions regarding the young quarterback that he currently has and possesses, to be on the record this early in the draft process to say, nah, we were at the combine. We saw it. There's no one special here. There's no one. We're going to go with Justin because what we have coming out of the draft, there's no one special. No one blew us away. This is the way to go. This is from Ryan Poles.
He's not the only one, though.
Albert Breer today.
But he's not the only one. We've heard from Mel Kiper. We've heard from Todd McShay. We've heard from other people that are draft experts say that, look, if Justin Fields was in this draft, he'd be number one. There's just nothing special. We heard it from, I believe it was Albert Breer first that said it to Cap and J Hood that said, hey, keep it. When they asked him one of his questions, at the end, hey, what are you looking at? What's on your phone? Anything special on your phone?
And he said positioning for next year.
Well, his exact words were, do you want some draft info? And they go, sure. And he goes,
give it to us.
Don't be surprised if some teams at the top
positioning
look to next year as opposed to taking a risk this year. And you can see that maybe a team like the Panthers that was at the number 9 spot, like they could take a quarterback number 1 overall, sure, but maybe the Texans don't. Maybe the Texans are fine with another year and just go, hey, you know what? We're going to build a defense. We're going to build our offensive line at 12. We're going to build our defense at 2. And guess what? We're going to have solid lines, offensive and defensive lines, but we're not going to be able to score and we're not going to be able to stop anybody. And guess what? Caleb Williams next year is going to be our quarterback. Like, you could see that happen. I wouldn't be surprised. We've already seen it from certain teams, right? The Bucs are punting. The Bucs are punting this year.
It feels that way.
Yeah, and if you look at odds for the Super Bowl, regardless of who the Panthers take, they could be in position for a number 1 pick. Now, the Bears have their pick, so that's great for them. And the Bears could pull this off again where they trade back and get another first-round pick out of it, whatever. But you have already seen at least one team so far in the Bucs that are just like, nope, we're punting Caleb Williams next year.
I thought it was a good piece from Albert Breer today on the Monday Morning Quarterback. Bears GM never told Justin Fields he's the quarterback of the future, but his actions certainly did, based on trading the pick and then also the way they've kind of approached assembling some talent around Justin Fields in the